Jherica, I'm so excited for our MPI international session tomorrow. Are you excited?
I am thrilled. I've been looking forward to this all week. I keep checking the registration numbers because I'm like, oh, it's climbing up and it's going to be the best way to end my Friday. So I'm super excited.
I love it. Now, what appeals to you in particular about recognition being your customer retention superpower?
Yeah, so that I'm glad you mentioned that because I personally I'm looking forward to find out new ways I can and show my recognition, not just the general like, hey, thank you through an email, but find more
Right.
personalized and detailed ways on how to keep that retention from our customers and with our colleagues and even translate that to my home life.
Yeah, that's so important right now. I mean, what do you think the meeting industries need most given what you're all going through?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is, people have worked day in, day out for these events that didn't happen. So just even a quick shout out, like, hey, we understand what you're doing. We understand how hard it is. So patience. That's the biggest thing. And so I think if clients can understand, like, hey, we're navigating through this just as you are, and people can show that appreciation and patience and recognition. I think that's going to go a super duper long way, and it's going to help form those relationships so that when things start to finally come around, you'll remember, hey, this person, they reached out to me during a hard time, so I definitely want to refer back to them. So
Mhm. Well, and there's so much we can do. Like it really, for the first few months, it was just crisis management, and to some extent people are rescheduling, or it's like, well, definitely we're not going to be able to do it in the fall, let's try to book it into next year. And so there's a lot of busy work, but really, don't you find that people need that human connection piece? Like people are craving to really relate to each other. Have you been
yes.
having conversations with people about that need? I know I have.
Yes, yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I do want to give a quick shout out to Nancy, my colleague. She,
Yay.
we had, yes, I just love her. And my 3-year-old son calls her Auntie. So that's Auntie in our family. But I've been with MPI a short amount of time, and the workload increased overnight, and unfortunately we had some layoffs. So we had, everybody had to step up in a sense and take over some things. And it was hard. It was stressful. I was like, what did I get myself into? And Nancy she could sense that, and so we were on a meeting one day and just kind of having side chat. And we were talking about facial routine, facial care routine and things of that. And probably a week later or something, I get like somebody rings my doorbell. My mom's like, hey, you have a package. And I'm like, well, I only came back here, because of the whole coronavirus, to work remotely. What do you mean I have a package? And, to my surprise, Nancy was so kind to send me just some of her favorite skincare products. And so for her to kind of acknowledge that, it's something that I wouldn't have even thought she even remembered, but she took the time to remember that, recognize me, because she personalized that card that came in there and was just like, hey, we're all going through it, but you have been outstanding, and thank you for sticking through it. And honestly, without her leadership, I don't know where I would be right now. Probably wouldn't be on this call, to be honest. But so just knowing, like, to make things more personalized, you need that connection. And like I said, just for her to remember something so minuscule and go through the whole process of ordering me something, get it shipped to my mom's house, I greatly appreciate that. And I know customers will also appreciate that. And I think in return, vendors and stuff can also appreciate their customers even more too, when they're just like, hey, I understand, you're going through this, so take your time, no worries, I got your back.
Mm. You're so right. It's those little things that we don't think matter because we just say it like, oh yeah, skincare, or yeah, I really like, I don't know, like yoga. And then you get that surprise thing, a card or a yoga mat delivered to your house, or skincare stuff that's exactly what, the little bit of pampering that probably, I'm guessing, you haven't been weren't able to do for yourself because you're not supposed to leave the
Yes.
house and you've got a mask on, and we're not really pampering and caring for ourselves the way we were before all of
Mhm.
this, right? So it's like she was almost saying, you're worth it. I believe in you, I value you, I see you, and because you're worth it, here's a little treat for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I love that because it had, like you said, it was more personalized. It had nothing. She could have sent me like, here's some pins so you can work harder, or whatever the case is. But she took that extra step to say like, hey, take a step back and enjoy yourself. So yes, personalization is going to be huge. And even if it's just sending somebody a card, like it's something tangible to have, and you'll be so much more appreciative. And in return, that just kind of ups your work drive and your motivation and your desire. So that'll be good. And I'm excited to also hear about other creative ways attendees are going to share with us in ways that they've, how they've satisfied that customer retention.
Oh my gosh, we have the most creative people too who are going to be on the
Yeah.
line. There's like 350 super dynamic, very creative, passionate, people-centered meeting professionals already registered. So, I mean, I think I'm going to learn a lot. I do this for a living, and I always learn so much when I talk to meeting professionals
Yeah.
about creative ways they are trying, because they have to reinvent every
Oh,
conference. They want to top themselves, right?
yeah.
So I'm super excited. I think we're going to learn a lot just from the attendees. What do
Yes.
you think?
No, I agree. It's going to be the best way to kick off our weekend and end our Friday. So everybody's ready to rock and roll. And with these numbers, each day I log on here, it just keeps climbing up and up and up. So that should speak volume about you too, Miss Sarah. So I'm super excited, as you should be, and you should be super proud of yourself.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for frogging me. I feel like you
You are welcome. See, we've already learned so much.
see, I think we just get each other. I think we
Oh,
made
of course, of course.
cross like 3,000 miles or something.
Yes, yes.
Ontario to Texas. That's a pretty big distance, but it doesn't
Oh,
feel
yes.
that
Yes,
far.
yes,
So thank you so much for being my right hand in
of
this
course.
session, and for being so excited to make sure that your members get so much value, that we've already got some cool things planned for the people who attend, for them to get some additional ideas and
Yeah.
resources afterwards. So I'm really, really excited about that. So thank you so much. We'll definitely catch up tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.